Hello and welcome back to the Rangers Review with me, Chris Jack, and I'm joined post-match by Joshua Barrie. He's got a smile on his face. He's seen Rangers score
Uh,
3 goals and pick up 3 points. All is well with his world right now. Josh, how are we?
yeah, it's good fun actually watching Rangers away from home when they perform. I thought it was pretty good, Chris. To be honest, I didn't expect it to be that comfortable. I think this is a poor Killie side comparatively to how they've been in the past. And there was a few nervy moments. You have the benefit of watching things back at home, but that shot that Connor Barron cleared off the line, I don't know if that was offside or if the Kilmarnock player was inside his own half. The Mo Diamande incident, which could have resulted in a penalty. However, I think they are minor blemishes on what generally is a really good night for Danny Rule, because he has a number 9 that finally puts the ball in the back of the net. He has Mikey Moore returning from injury and really picking up where he left off when he scored away at Dundee before that latest international break. And he had a team that looked, I think, Chris, a lot more confident. And maybe as we can get into, I thought this was another game tonight that showed the story of Rule's tenure so far for me has been he's been a bit of a problem solver. He's inherited a tricky situation. He's not really got one, I'd say, core ideal apart or idea apart from he wants his teams to play intense, wants them to play forward quickly. And yet again tonight we saw him tweak little things. Bojan Miovski's positioning again. And to be fair to him, he should have won at Dundee United on the basis of the chances Rangers created, and he has won tonight, and it's an important victory for him.
We spoke pre-match when we were on with Blair about the number 9 situation, and I think we both agreed that it doesn't really make a difference who you pick in that position, because none of the three of them are in great form. There's not really a standout candidate. That was a bit more like it from Miovski,
Yeah.
though, wasn't it? Good finish for the first one, a bit of a toe poke, but a bit of a opportunistic finish. The second one, it's a nice move, nice pass, cuts inside. Again, it's a good finish. It felt a bit more like the Miovski that Rangers fans thought they were going to see. Why do you think it worked for him tonight when previous matches it's not really worked for him? He's not looked that threatening. He's not really been involved as much. What clicked for him tonight outside of those two finishes, which should do him the world of confidence, hopefully.
I'm gonna throw a stat at you, Chris, if that's okay. Let me see if I can find it. There we are. So Bojan Miovski in the games before the Falkirk game, which was last Sunday, wasn't it? He was averaging 11.65 passes per 90. Against Dundee United in midweek, that rose to 28. So like almost 4 times the average. That just shows he's a lot more involved. And the reason he's a lot more involved is because he was given a bit of a free role. Now, I don't think that is necessarily to get the best out of him, because I don't think he's a Alfredo Morelos who's going to spin all the time and play fantastic through balls. But what it does do is it gives Rangers an extra man down the pitch, because the Kilmarnock centre-back, I think it was Robbie Dees, didn't track him the whole time. And I think that, similarly to midweek in Dundee United, and I'm going to write about this for the website in the morning with a few graphs if people want to maybe have a little bit more context around it. But that's what's helped Rangers in the last couple of games, because what you see is Connor Barron and Nico Raskin both drop a little bit deeper. So you've always got an extra man in the first line. So teams can't really press as aggressively, which gives you a bit of a foundation here, instead of what we've seen often with Rangers, where centre-backs are trapped on the ball and just can't progress the ball up the pitch. So Miovski just effectively became a free man. And actually, I think the first goal kind of epitomises that, Chris, because he gets the ball on the left. You think the shooting opportunity is gone, but then he pops up on the right, and it's an opportunistic finish, but it's the type of finish you probably would have thought you'd have seen more of. And then the second goal is a much cleaner transition, because I think Rangers are more confident, like the third goal and the fourth goal from Mikey Moore, which was chopped off. And they benefit from going one up with that confidence. But yeah, I think that Miovski gives Rangers he was effectively a free man, so they always had a free pass, so they could progress the ball up the pitch a bit quicker. And there seemed to be a lot more rotations too. So you had Diamande running in beyond on the left-hand side as the left winger cut inside. You had Gassama going over the top a bit in the first half too. So that was, for me, another example of Rule. He's been a problem solver so far, because every time he's solved a problem, another's arisen. So he tightens up the defence, but Rangers don't create chances. And then in midweek, he creates chances, but he can't put the ball in the back of the net himself, and his strikers don't score goals. tonight, I think he kind of got his rewards because he's solved a few successive problems. And although there was a little bit of luck at some moments, and when it was 2-0 Kilmarnock grew into the game a tiny bit, generally, I think that was a pretty comfortable away win. And Rangers benefited again from those small little subtle tweaks that Danny Rule has made tonight, in particular, getting Bojan Miovski more involved.
You mentioned a couple of incidents there right at the top of the show. You weren't sure if a Killie attacker was in his own half when the offside flag was raised. He was in his own half, so that's one that Rangers got away with. I think they got away with the Mohamed Diamande one as well. I think there's a tug in the jersey, and surprised that didn't get another look. What's your view?
Well, Chris, can I just say on that then? Fair play to Conor Barron, because I think everyone, Manny Fernandez was down at that moment, wasn't he? And I don't know if he's a head knock, which maybe I think was what was upsetting the Rangers bench, because they felt that passage of play should be stopped. But Conor Barron didn't stop running, and he clears one off the line. And I think he's been pretty good in the last 3 games. He's maybe not one we're that quick to praise, because sometimes I'm not always sure how good is his use of the ball. Does he get Rangers forward enough? But I think in the last 3 games he's been really good, and tonight really tidy on the ball, does so much work off it, which I think helps set that intensity that Danny Rule wants his team to play with and press with. And Nico Raskin too, for that second goal, plays a really nice through ball into Bojan Miovski, because on the night there was a few moments where Rangers had a man over our 4v3, as we saw against Dundee United at Tannadice in midweek, and it just felt like they didn't have that clinical edge. They weren't able to take advantage of it, but they were for that second goal. So sorry I interrupted you, but I think I just thought we should give Conor Barron a bit of praise for his quite effective running about tonight and his use of the ball.
You've jumped onto my next point already. A couple of comments here sharing your praise for Conor Barron, headkeeper there, saying that he's got some engine, which he certainly showed in that moment, and a couple of comments from usernames that Derek would love, saying that Barron was brilliant, and another saying that he was man of the match. As you say, I think he's obviously understated. He's not someone who's going to grab huge headlines. He certainly doesn't speak in headlines himself. But I think he's been quietly effective. The other incident I was going to touch on there, what's your view of the Jack Butland one when he comes out? And again, I think he was.
Do you think? I thought. Tell you, it was a firm challenge. He didn't miss, did he? He let him know he was there. I thought it was fine. I think he just got to the ball quick enough, and he actually made a couple of good saves in the second half. But only made one following a set piece that seemed to be deflected quickly, and he reacted pretty well to it. I thought what happened for the fourth goal, I don't even know, but that seemed to be soft according to the people around me. It was chopped off.
A lot of comments here, people saying that one was soft. It didn't. The guys on the commentary thought it was going to be checked for a foul earlier in the move. It was really just a coming together on the edge of the as the play kind of goes down the right hand side. There's a coming together. I don't think there's an awful lot in it. When Rangers are 3-0 up, you can chop it off, and it's not the biggest injustice in the world. If it's 0-0 at that time and that's potentially the winner, it's a far bigger issue. I think Rangers feel a wee bit hard done by on that one. Mikey Moore certainly will, because it's a really good finish from a tight angle. He was obviously back in the squad. You were up at the presser yesterday when the manager said that all being well, he would be back. Anyone who has watched this Rangers side over the last couple of weeks will be pleased to see him back, because he offers, certainly on recent form, on the back of that goal up at Dundee, he offers a bit of creativity and a goal threat, which he didn't offer at the start of the season. So really pleased to see him back, because he brings something to the squad that other members of it don't.
Yeah, he really did pick up where he left off, and I think Moore again is a little bit of a beneficiary, and he kind of represents the point, I think, of tonight's game, the narrative from tonight's game, which is that Rule, rather than having this overarching idea that he needs to fit the players into, which I think you could accuse his predecessor of being guilty of, he is he's not precious, is maybe the best way to describe it, and he's looking for solutions. So Moore was playing off the right a lot under Russell Martin, but he was isolated. I think a Falkirk away in that 1-1 draw. He wasn't close to players, and he wasn't near the centre of the pitch. And I think he's probably at his best where if he's out wide, he needs to have the good dynamics around him because he's not the most explosive player in big areas of space. But when you put him in a busy centre of the pitch, because he's got good decision making, because he's intelligent in how he receives the ball, he can roll players. That is the type of goal I can actually see him coming out. And that's Finlay Curtis. They look quite alike. Look quite alike from distance. But that's the type of position that I think he can score quite a lot of goals this season. The type of numbers that Rangers will need from a few, because we've spoken this week about the sheer absence of goals in the side. But he's in the centre again, much like he was at Dundee, in a bit of a free role, which I think makes Rangers a bit unpredictable in a way that under Russell Martin they were so predictable. It was all in front of the opposition. They were quite happy to turn the Kilmarnock defence tonight, and then because Kilmarnock weren't really able to press aggressively, as we explained at the top of the show, with Raskin and Barron dropping in, it just fitted quite nicely. So we'll be happy to have Mikey Moore back. He looks really confident. He was getting the Michael Moles song sung at him from the away end, which is esteemed company for him. And it was a shame, that second goal, because it was so well taken. I think it was Daniil that played the ball into him. But it makes Rangers stronger in an area of the pitch where they've had a lot of injuries. Nadim Barami went off and he was holding his hamstring tonight. We'll get an update from the press conference players down there as we speak, and you'll be able to watch that very, very shortly. But it didn't look in terrible pain, but he didn't look comfortable. And whenever a player goes off holding their hamstring, you fear the worst, don't you?
Just before we finish, big picture, what does that win do for Rangers? What does that win mean for Danny Rule? I think he's spoken a couple of times this week about title's not over. He's not said, no, we're going to go and win the league, but he clearly feels that points will be dropped elsewhere. I think he feels that there's certainly a lot more to come from this side. Obviously, once we get to January, that offers a real opportunity for Rangers. If they hadn't won tonight, I think it would have really damaged not the manager, but it would have been another blow to this squad. And people would have said, another big game, they can't go and win these matches. They've had their chances. And then you look at Hibs coming up, Hearts coming up, Aberdeen doubleheader, Old Firm game is obviously edging ever closer as well. It felt like, I know it's a bit of a cliche and you don't really like a cliche, but it was it was a must-win game, that wasn't it? And it feels like a potentially, without getting too far ahead of ourselves, it feels like a potentially big night, which will only be judged in the fullness of time, I suppose.
Well, I'm going to leave that to you instead of me at the moment. If they keep playing like that, it could be. And I think all Danny Rule can do is build momentum. That's the most, before you talk about where Rangers going to finish in the table, because my focus this week has not been on the title race. It's been, are Rangers going to be good enough to finish ahead of Motherwell in third position? But he needs to build momentum, and he needs to go away to Ferencváros and not lose heavily and try and keep that European dream, because it's very unlikely, but try and keep something alive. He needs to give the away support something to kind of hold on to. He needs to build confidence in his players. And tonight, I thought Manny Fernandez and Nasser Giga did well enough in a difficult venue. There was moments, it wasn't absolutely seamless, although I thought Nasser Giga's yellow card was one of the strangest yellow cards on a night of some strange decisions. One of the strangest yellow cards I've seen this season for a kind of shoulder-to-shoulder tackle. So I think that's all he can do, really, without being cliche myself and saying one game at a time, because I hate that. The only people who can say that are managers in high-profile positions. But it's 5 wins from 7. He'd have taken that when he came in. He inherited a team who'd won one win from 8. He's had a lot of injuries. He's had to chop and he's had to change. I don't think he's been blameless. You can't have no accountability because it's not his players and he inherits a difficult situation. But within the context, what you've seen him do is be a problem solver. He's changed things. He started with a back 3 to tighten up the defence. He had Rangers creating more chances in midweek, and tonight they managed to kind of find that finishing touch to get them over the line. So who knows what the game will mean in the big picture of things. But a win makes people feel better. A win builds a little bit of confidence going over to Hungary, to Budapest in midweek. And then was it, Hibs at home on the Monday after that, and Hearts away. Two ginormous games. Absolutely, just in the context of where Rangers will finish. But you'll benefit from players like Moore, who's a much more confident figure than he was a couple of months ago. Miovski will be after tonight. His centre backs were better, as I've just mentioned. I think Conor Barron and Nico Raskin did well tonight, and Barron in particular has been good. It's a clean sheet too. I don't know how many clean sheets that is for Danny Rule in the league, but certainly more than a couple. Is it 3 maybe? Where was it? Hibs away got 1. Falkirk here. Maybe it's only 3. But yeah, it was a good night, and there's not been enough nights we've watched Rangers and you thought, oh, there was something there. There was players playing themselves into a bit of form. You can see the idea of what Danny Rule's trying to fashion on the night. They need a few more of them before I think you talk about the big picture being too rosy. But it was a good night for them tonight, absolutely.
We'll end with a bit of praise for your good self, Morgan. There, praising your dedication to the cause. I know your night will go on a lot longer than 10:15, so I'll let you I'll let you head up the road. As Josh mentioned earlier on, Blair is in the press conference right now for us, so the full Q&A will be on the website just shortly, and you can of course watch the video on our YouTube channel as well. Josh's analysis will be on the website in the morning, and we will have a player interview on the website at lunchtime. Anything else that I need to plug or hype up before we go?
No, I've you're right. It is going to be a late night, but we love it, Chris, don't we? We love it. Nothing better than watching Rangers at 8 o'clock on a Saturday. But no, we just got to thank everyone for watching as ever. We'll be out in Budapest, of course. We'll bring people loads and loads of coverage, and please subscribe on YouTube if you've not done so already. That really helps us to bring more content every single day of the week. And I think that's all of our plugging over.
On that note, we'll wish you all a good night, and we'll speak to you soon.